What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Kevin here. Wanted to hop on and make a video about Dogecoin. I want to kind of go over every single time frame and take a look at the Doge USD chart. We'll look at the Doge Bitcoin pair, and then we'll also kind of tie that back to the overall market and what I think can happen moving forward and what will potentially happen moving forward. So yeah, as you could see, we'll kind of give a rundown of over maybe like the last month or so, right? Last couple months. As you can see, Dogecoin did top out over at this 46 to 48 cent level. This was way back in November/December of 2024. We obviously rode that big move up. We did take some profits there, publicly announced that on the X channel. If you're not following me on X, it's Kev Capital, same as the YouTube channel, so I highly recommend you go over there and follow me. We took profits at this zone. There was a lot of overheated indicators. We had 3-day RSIs at 90 plus. We had 1-day RSIs close to 100, right? And that euphoria was kind of in the market at a really, really high rate, so it was time to start to scale out of Dogecoin a little bit. And then obviously we've went into a very deep correction over the last 6 months, right? The whole crypto market as a whole has went into a big correctional period over the last 6 months, but we came out of that correctional period, right? And we were able to also, through Bitcoin in our reversal zone chart, if you're in the Patreon and you follow me closely, we had a reversal zone chart mapped out for months that was going to call the exact time range and bottom area of where the correctional phase would end. That ended up playing out perfectly, right? I think our parallel channel was starting at April 7th, and the market literally bottomed on that day in that 75 to 70K level. But we were also watching Dogecoin very closely, and I was actually publicly announcing this on Twitter also, and in the Patreon, that this was a great risk-reward zone for Dogecoin, right? That being that macro 382, 13.7 area, right? Maybe you just call it 14 cents if you want to round up. We also had these macro trend lines stretching down that were providing some support. We had this weekly demand candle, which at that point it was like, okay, all go, right? If you wanted to make an entry there, separated from your long-term portfolio, you wanted to kind of make a trade out of this, we said now's a great risk-reward time. Worst comes to worst, you could throw your stop loss below that level. You only lose a few percent, but the upside is great. We did enter a position there in the Patreon around 14, 15 cents. We did ride that all the way up to the 26 cent, 25 cent level. Did take profits there also because, again, we were starting to look like, this move was pretty fast and aggressive. We're looking a little overheated. It's time to take some profits. Now, we've come all the way down since then, right? And we haven't broken that low at the 13, let's say we load out at around 13 cents back in April, right? At April 7th, actually. It's kind of funny. But, yeah, now we've basically come all the way back down to similar levels, right? And as you can see, and I posted about this, we're hitting a very key level, right? This is a very, very key level, folks. Like, I don't want to get you stressed out or nothing, but this is a very, very important level. That being the weekly 200 SMA, the weekly 200 EMA, and again, that macro 382. And then obviously these trend lines. Now, I'll publicly say, right, we also, and we're already up nicely. I think we're up like, maybe 6 or 7% already, but we entered into another swing long position, separated from the long-term bags, right? Because the long-term bag I'm holding from 6 cents. So we're not touching that right now. We did take profits on that up here, but totally separated. So that's looking solid so far, right? I mean, again, it's the more important thing is that this is the zone, right? This is your zone. So mark this off on your charts, guys, right? You want to mark off the, put your weekly 200 SMA and EMA on, put your, extend your fibs out, get your macro 382, and from there, you're going to see that this is a very, very important level. And again, if you need to run that fib, just run it from the top of the previous bull market to the bottom of the bear market. You'll get that macro 382, okay? Yeah, so on the weekly time frame, from just the price structural standpoint, you need to hold this level, guys. You don't want to fail this level. If you start failing this level, then, things start to get fishy. I think I pointed out on X that the range was anywhere from 14.3 to around like 12.7, right? You really want to hold that range no matter what. And we went down to 14.1 where we bought right in that range, and so far we're getting a bounce, but Yeah, I mean, again, let's look at some of the indicators. Something that I also am keeping an eye on is ever since the bear market, Dogecoin broke out of, and we'll actually move this over just a little bit just so that it looks right. Okay, so in the bear market, we were obviously in this massive weekly RSI downtrend, bumping our heads on the moving average, maybe peaking above it, but then ultimately failing. When the bear market ended and Dogecoin broke out of that bear market range, that being the 12 cents range, obviously we made a nice shoot up to, I think, around like 22, 24, somewhere around that, maybe even 26 cents. We basically broke that bear market structure. Then ever since then, anytime we've had those significant pullbacks, right, and we've had multiple now this bull cycle, and we'll go over the USD chart again to show, right? Like, you had your big move, you had a big move up, you broke back down, then you had your bear market breakout, boom, and then we had another major correction last summer, and then we had another major move up in Q4, and then we're having a Q1 correction, right? So overall the structure looks good, but from an RSI perspective, you could see that we do continuously hold this level, right? You notice that, right? And we're basically at that level again. We're not quite there, but we're there. We're kind of making a higher low right now, but we're basically there, right? So you don't want to lose this level, right? Anything below 37.9 on, or we'll just call it 38, anything below 38 on this weekly RSI is going to be a breakdown of that 14.3 to 12.7 range, which would be very, very sketchy at that point. So again, keep an eye on that on your charts, right? Mark that off, because I'm making the video for you, but I want you to go on your charts and also mark these things off so that you're kind of understanding and following along. Not really much to go over beyond that. We have our weekly momentum wave on Market Cipher coming down. The goal here would be to continuously make another higher low, right? So let's see if we can maybe clip this momentum wave to the upside at some point. We'll keep an eye on this. If this momentum wave were to come all the way down, well, you're starting a new trend on the Market Cipher momentum waves, and you're likely going into a longer-term bearish trend. So we'll keep an eye on that. Beyond that, we did talk about the Doge versus BTC chart, right? We talked about, look how that was funny. Like, I think we were up here when I made the video, and now we're into the orange zone that I talked about, right? The orange zone that you're going to want to hold, right? If you want Doge to be in a position to be able to hold structure against Bitcoin, but then further outperform Bitcoin down the line once monetary policy starts to ease and the altcoins start to pick up steam. So again, we'll keep an eye on that too, but we went over that chart in detail. I would watch the Doge versus Bitcoin video that I posted. Very, very detailed video on that specific chart. If we go back to the Doge chart and we just look at maybe some smaller time frames, we do have some bullish signals on the daily time frame, which is good, right? We did hit some serious oversold levels. Let's go to that. So, I mean, the goal here from a structural perspective would be to, again, hold this key level, right? Maybe form some type of double bottom here, right? You could even call it maybe some type of triple bottom, right? And start to head higher. But we do have a lot of resistance up ahead, folks. So let's not get that mistaken here. For one, Dogecoin is below all of its daily major moving averages, right? And they're actually very far up still. So a lot of work to do there. You do have the 0.5 fib at 18.9, which is going to be big resistance. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, again, you have all of your 4-hour major moving averages. As you can see, when you break these down and you start bumping your head on them, it becomes resistance, same as it becomes support, right, when you break out. So we're going to need to break back above these major 4-hour moving averages. I would say the key resistance at this current moment is the 19-cent level. If you can reclaim 19 cents on Dogecoin, you then break back into this range, which is the 19 to 26 cent range, okay? So we'll keep an eye on that. While, the bounce was nice yesterday, still have a lot of work to do, okay? So let's not get too crazy here. Let's still stay very cautious overall. But, again, we got to still also be a little optimistic because there are some decent signs. That being, we're still in this nice higher low structure, right? Where it looks like we're potentially making another higher low here. That 3-day candle, right? That 3-day candle was very nice, right? It really saw a lot of demand here. This is what you want to see, these demand candles. You know what I mean? Like, look at the demand candle, upside, demand candle, consolidation, more demand candles, upside. Demand candle here, consolidation, demand candle there, upside. You get the demand candle here, right? So again, it's not about getting demand candles in nowhere. Like, for example, you had one here, but you weren't really at major support. So you kind of tried to head up, but there wasn't enough groundwork in order to head higher. But, in tandem with Bitcoin, obviously, too. So, yeah, I mean, we'll keep an eye on that. It is flashing a buy signal. I know that, right? We got a little buy signal there on my indicator. If we look at the 3-day time frame, also on the market site for momentum wave, not really clipping yet, but kind of trying to a little bit. Money flow also trying to potentially head up. 3-day stock RSI is almost bottomed out. And then, yeah, I mean, we know the deal at this point, right? So from a short-term time frame perspective, maybe we get a little pullback after the big move yesterday. Maybe we head higher. The daily time frame does look pretty bullish on Bitcoin. We'll just take a quick look at Bitcoin just so that you know, because remember something, right? We want to always follow, we always follow our Dogecoin. We watch our Doge pairing chart. We watch our USD chart, but the hands are its fate is in Bitcoin's hands, folks. Okay, in the short term. This was also a really, I wouldn't call it necessarily a call, but I pointed out the possibility in the Patreon. We talked about how this is a bearish pattern overall, right? The macro symmetrical triangle, I said. However, there have been times in the past where you can see this was a great call because I've seen these before. I've been in this game a long time. The first move out of these patterns, sometimes, a small percentage of the time, is the wrong move. Meaning that once that first move occurs, typically it happens to the upside, gets everyone to go long, everyone thinks, oh my god, yeah, we're going to go higher. And then it rolls right back over and heads lower. We're seeing that happen on the opposite end of the spectrum this time. We broke down lower over the weekend, people came rushing in going short, thinking that everything was breaking down, and let alone you short squeezed right back up into the pattern. That's great news. However, in the short term, you know the deal. We need to break the 106.8K level. We need to break above the 4-hour 200 SMA. That being right here. The red line and then the purple moving average, okay? Once we break above that level, you still have this downtrending resistance here. So there's more work to do. However, if we can come up here and maybe consolidate a little bit, get some juice going, getting some money flow coming in, I think that Bitcoin can break out. This is a Dogecoin video, but we're always going to talk about Bitcoin with it, folks, because Bitcoin runs the show. Doge will follow Bitcoin at the end of the day. So anyone who's not doing their Dogecoin analysis or their altcoin analysis in tandem with Bitcoin USDT dominance, be suspect of that analysis, okay? Because remember something, Bitcoin's leading the show, folks. Now, when if we get a massive altcoin season, there will be times where Dogecoin is moving on its own. We're not at that point, so we need to follow Bitcoin more importantly, okay? So that's basically what I have for you in the meantime, guys. Yeah, I mean, you know the deal. We need to break above. Let's start with the 4-hour moving averages. You need to break above those, right? And you need to break above 19 cents. So a lot of work to do, right? We're pretty far away from that at the moment. We're only at 16 cents, right? And obviously, if that doesn't work out and we start to head lower, the daily time frame doesn't produce, the buy signal doesn't produce much upside, we start to roll over, then you know your support levels that you need to watch for, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, comment below if you have any questions. If you want to join the Patreon or if you want to follow me on X, the links will be in the description below. Highly recommend doing that. Very much worth it. You guys have a great day. Peace out.